today have both qualified to...
This is the final of the Women's Softball Africa qualifier for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, held in South Africa in May 2019. Botswana is in the blue uniform. South Africa is in green. Although South Africa had the lead early on, Botswana came up from behind thanks to a strong batting lineup and outstanding pitches. At the bottom of the fifth, and with no outs and a runner on second, Botswana sealed their win with a hit that gave them a 7-run lead that ended the game early. It was a crushing victory for Botswana. Newspapers in Botswana gave out flash reports of this brilliant achievement. Women's softball enjoyed the limelight. There was a Japanese woman who was part of this team. It was Aiko Nakamura, who was in Botswana as a JICA JOCV volunteer. We followed Aiko and her activities in Botswana. The Republic of Botswana is a landlocked country in Africa where diverse ethnic groups live in harmony. The Tswana people account for 70% of the population, while other groups include the Kalanga people and the Basarwa. Botswana gained independence from the United Kingdom in 1966. The following year, the largest diamond mine in the world was discovered, and the country developed as the government of Botswana allocated the profits to education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Botswana's capital, Gaborone, is known as a modern city, and many high-rise office buildings are starting to be built. Savannas extend in the city outskirts. Although the unemployment rate is high in the scattered rural areas, a food basket system ensures that no one would starve, even without an income. Overall, the people of Botswana are gentle, dislike confrontation, and believe that it is undignified to become angry. Botswana is proud of the popularity of softball as a national sport. It has 12 team leagues for both men and women. Every year, the Botswana Softball Association and a corporate sponsor of both leagues co-host the Softball League Awards on a grand scale. Awards are presented to the top league teams, as well as outstanding players and coaches. Aiko Nakamura was posted to softball-loving Botswana as a Japan Overseas Cooperation Volunteers softball volunteer. She was appointed the assistant coach to the women's softball national team.
You want to? No.
Although Aiko had aspired to be in the Olympics and was an active player until the age of 33, Ultimately, she was unable to make that dream come true. After retiring as a player, she was hoping to stay involved in softball as a coach. That was when she came across a recruitment notice for a JOCB softball volunteer in Botswana. Aiko had played softball in Japan under an intensely competitive environment, and upon her arrival in Botswana, she could not believe the laid-back attitude of the players there.
こっちの人は、失敗しようが何しようがケロッとしてってダンスもするし、それが負けてる時であれ勝ってる時であれ変わらずやるので、多分それをやめさせてしまうと彼女たちのリズムがなくなってもう何もただ逆にネガティブになっていくと思うので、そこは何も触れないようにしてます。彼女たちがもっと本当に真剣にじゃあ本当に心の底でどうしてもオリンピック行きたいとか強くなりたいって思うんだったら現れてくると思うんですよ。どうしたらいいんだって聞いてくると思うんですよね。その時には言っていいかなと思うんですけど。
The first thing that Coach Aiko asked them to do was clean up around the field. She wanted to start by making improvements on a mental level.
この国は何せグラウンド整備をしない。グラウンド整備はグラウンド整備をする人がやる。で使ったら使いっぱなし。道具とかもなんとなくそこにあるとか、誰かが持ってくるとかそういう感じなので、グラウンド整備をしなければやっぱ綺麗なグラウンドではできないし、じゃあ汚いグラウンドと綺麗なグラウンドどっちの方が好きかって聞いたら絶対みんな綺麗なグラウンドって言うんですよね。でじゃあグラウンド整備しよう。
Today they use rakes supplied by JICA. Raking the field after practice has become a daily routine.
It should be our responsibility to clean after the grounds because it's us who are playing here.
During her first year as a JOCB softball volunteer, Aiko undertook coaching rounds where she personally went out to regional areas. Although Coach Aiko lives in the city of Gaborone, she has taught at schools with no running water, sometimes travelling as much as 10 hours by car through the backcountry. She learned through this experience just how much the people of Botswana love softball.
Konnichiwa.
The person who invited Coach Aiko to the women's national team was her boss, Tebogo Johannes.
The last, and she can get angry at me for 3 weeks because people did not do their job, and then she always blames me and gets angry at me. But ever since she's been here, we've been like brother and sister.
As Chief Technical Advisor for softball, Tebogo's main work is to nurture players, coaches and umpires.
I recommended her to become part of the senior women national team. I know her ability and what she can bring, and we always discuss issues that are related to performance in the office. Basically, we have got softball at heart. We want to see Botswana softball grow, become a world-renowned softball, not only in Africa, but we want to dominate the world.
On June 10th, 2019, at Tebogo's suggestion, the first intensive training camp for the national team, scheduled over 2 weeks, commenced ahead of the next qualifying event, the Europe-Africa qualifier. Only one team will earn the right to compete in the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, the victor of the Europe-Africa qualifier.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Under-19 junior players also participated in the training camp. For them, it was valuable training leading up to the Under-19 Women's Softball World Cup to be played in the United States. Coach Aiko takes the initiative to serve as an engine that drives the players forward. This camp was the last time Coach Aiko attended a training session. 2.5 years had passed since her 2017 arrival in Botswana. While she extended her posting by 6 months to participate in the Africa qualifier, less than 1 month remained of that extension. Coach Aiko had promised herself to make this a training session with no regrets. The first aim of this intensive training camp was to enhance the basic physical fitness of the players. While the qualifying event in South Africa consisted of only 3 games, the next qualifier in Europe would extend over several days. There was even a possibility that double headers would be played. Given this situation, players would lose their concentration if they lacked stamina, and then invariably lose games. Increasing the basic physical fitness of each individual player would be a vital part of winning. Another major aim was to further boost competition between players. There is a rule in Botswana that 30% of the players in the national team must be juniors. This system was set up to enable senior players to pass on their experience to younger players. In other words, the participation of junior players in this training camp provided a chance for young players to break into the group of 15 players who would head for the qualifying event in Europe. This meant that the senior players had to stay focused and do their best as well. Maitumelo Oloratu Seramura was one of the outfielders on the national team. But at the qualifier in South Africa, all she did was warm the bench. The regret of not having had a chance to play was now driving her on. Unless each player makes an even greater effort to improve, they will not be able to win a place on the national team.
I would love them to be so focused. I would love them to believe in themselves. I would love them to work so hard, because it's not easy to compete at the World Championships. But it takes athletes who are determined, athletes who are disciplined, athletes who are so focused, who want it more. We can turn things around. They should always believe in themselves that they can turn things around. History is made by them.
At night, after training, Maitumelo stays at her older brother's house close to the softball field. Homolemo teaches physical education at a primary school and has great expectations for his younger sister.
They came with the gold medal, and I know she didn't play, but she was among the people that went there. I'm proud of her, really. But if you go out into the world, I think she would learn a lot.
I would love to see myself playing outside the country, outside Africa. Yes, like places, maybe like Canada, Japan. Yeah, I would love that. Yes. That's my dream, softball.
Meanwhile, Coach Aiko is at home writing training notes and thinking about what to focus on in tomorrow's training.
こっちは選手の特徴と、右左、右投げ左利き、左打ち、もしくは右投げ右打ち あとポジションですね。あとこっちは今日の反省ですね。反省と練習ドリルどんなんだったかっていうので、あとは、選手からどんな質問があったかっていうことをちょっとメモって、次に活かせればなと思ってます。みんな何かを背負ってやってるわけなので、もっとこう上に面白いソフトボールがあるんだよっていうのを見せてあげたいですね。
In intensive training camps in Japan, all players participate and spend their days fully immersed in softball. The Japanese tend to think of players as training mind and body without end. But training camps in Botswana try to improve team capability with just the people who can participate. The training is from 4 to 7 p.m. on weekdays. There are even some days when very few players come. It is not that players lack motivation. There are no professional players in Botswana, and most of the senior players in particular work full-time on weekdays. Inevitably, the time they can apply to training is limited to late afternoon onwards. However, public safety becomes an issue once night falls in Gaborone. If players practice until late at night, they face an increased risk of being subjected to crime. Being members of a national team does not mean they are excused from their work. Team pitcher Sixpence majored in applied science at university and was working in a chemical laboratory at a mining company. However, mine closure resulted in job loss. Finally, at the end of last year, she found a job at her current workplace, which is the research lab of a food company. Even while unemployed, she continued to play softball unpaid. All costs, such as transportation fees to the intensive training camp, sportswear and spikes, are borne by the individual. Once she finishes work, she borrows her aunt's car and hurries to the field.
What is my dream? I really want to see myself playing softball just like one lady in Japan that I've watched her playing. Her name is Ueno. Yes, I want to be like her.
Kahiso, an outfielder, is a single mother. Her son Troy is only 7 years old. She is desperately trying to make a living by raising and selling goats. At the moment, they share a home with housemates, but she is doing her very best so that someday she and her son will be able to live by themselves. Just because Kahiso is swamped by everyday life does not mean that she will give up playing softball.
Troy and softball are giving me a smile in my face, and I think I'm always happy with the two.
Kahiso says that the only thing she can boast about to her son is being a member of the national team. Once she retires from playing, she wants to become like Aiko, a coach who is respected by players. In contrast, the under-19 junior players, who are mostly students, can use their time freely and participate proactively in the physical fitness tests conducted before the intensive training camp. All players, including senior players, undergo a fitness test to confirm that they are fit enough to be on the national team and make them aware of any weaknesses. Their height, weight, abdominal muscles, endurance, reflexes and lower body strength are recorded. This is an ideal opportunity for junior players to appeal their physical fitness. A player who was the only person to keep running to the end of an endurance race overexerted herself and cannot walk. It is 18-year-old university student Onkokame. She does not like to lose. She is stretching her limits because, encouraged by Coach Aiko's expectations, she has come to believe in her own potential.
Cheer up and be professional.
Coach Aiko's behaviour and the plays she shows the players send them the message that nothing is ever beyond their reach if they make the effort.
今すぐできるようになってほしいとはっていうのはすごい私の高望みになってしまうんですけど、まずこう人の気持ちを考えられるようになってほしいとか、自分が疲れたからやめるとかじゃなくて、じゃああの子も頑張ってるから私も頑張るとか、じゃああの子が何かをしてるから私も助けるとか、そういうふうにこうチームな絆かを深めてほしいなって思ってます。それをソフトボールの中で終わらせるんではなくて、家族であったり、じゃあ自分の周りの友達であったりっていうところにも、こんな日本人がいてこんなこと言ってたよって言ってもらえたら、それが御の字かなって思います。
There are other people apart from players who have been influenced by Coach Aiko's ideas. The initiative to pick up litter and clean up the field is now not just limited to the women's national team.
When a solid is heated, it can now change to a liquid. Right?
Matthew is a university student studying pedagogy. Aiko's ideas resonated with him too. Matthew also plays for the Panthers, a very strong softball team. At the primary school where he is undertaking student teaching, he tells the children every day, "Let's clean up."
When you put water in a fridge, I saw her after the conversation picking up litter. Then I wondered, why is she picking up litter? She told me that she has a motto. The way I understood it, the way I understood it from that day was that to play better, you have to clean your environment. I believed in what she said. For example, if you play in a field which has splinters, which has glasses, at the end you're going to get injured. Even paper can even trip you and then you fall. And then I started picking up litter.
Players who have come in contact with Coach Aiko's dedication gradually took the intensive training camp more seriously and started to show a desire to improve. Coach Aiko was questioned by a junior player whom the coach thought had a passive attitude. The player asked for advice because her own way of gripping the ball did not result in good throws.
Just put the finger to the seam so that you can give spin.
Okay.
And please make sure you have to put backspin.
Backspin. Okay.
So maybe you throw like this, so that ball goes this way.
Oh yes.
So have to try to put like this.
Okay.
Okay. Make it straight. Alright. Yes. こういうの嬉しいですね。こうなんかちょっとポってなんか迷ってるんだなって思うと、一応こう自分でなんとかしようって思ってるんだなって。
Improving technique is an important challenge. In Botswana, no coaching methods have been established for teaching basic techniques. Before now, most players tried to learn by watching and imitating players better than themselves. It is not just about how to grip the ball. Players have to master techniques essential for improving defensive skills, like infield footwork. There are also issues related to batting forms.
Your batting is like this. Go this way. To the center. Just to the center. Just to the center. Even if it's inside, you can in and to the center.
I'll try.
Yeah. Don't roll the ball. But from here to push to the center, like Tawina.
Better.
Oh.
Much better.
Much better. Come on, eyes on the ball. Eyes on the ball.
Eyes on the ball.
Don't follow the ball. Eyes on the ball. Too early. こっちの人たちのバッティングってすごくこう前に行くんですよ。前に行く専門的なことを言うと重心が動いてしまうんですね。こう前にグッと。そうするとボールまでの距離も短くなる分、自分が突っ込んでってますよね。でいろんなスピードボール、チェンジアップだったり曲がるボールとかに対応できなくなってしまうんですよね。
It's not simply a matter of hitting a ball when a good pitch comes. Unless the batter learns to read the pitcher's delivery, they cannot expect to grow. Throwing fast balls and hitting them back with great power. With such simplistic softball techniques, they will be unable to win against the strong teams in the qualifier in Europe. Stimulated by dedicated juniors and not wanting to be outdone, the senior players are also doing their best in the training. Kahiso is checking her own batting point in an effort to become a better batter. Sixpence is also doggedly engaged in training. Coach Aiko suddenly approaches a junior player and starts to give advice. Glove work is important in defence. Once a player can do this well, movements from catching to throwing all become smoother.
Yes. Almost. The rhythm is ちょっとつまらそうにしてるんですよ。気持ちがないっていうか、もしかしたら自分でやっぱ下手だって思ってるのかもしれないし、ずっと笑わないので、面白くないのかなって思って。Okay? Okay, well done. You can go to here.
They have to want to win, but not at the risk of making them hate softball because of it. No one will be left behind. That is Coach Aiko's coaching style.
Put the glove first.
Since coming to Botswana, Coach Aiko came to realize that enjoying playing is also important. This first intensive training camp held over a 2-week period is almost over. That means that the end of Coach Aiko's activities as a member of the Japan Overseas Cooperation Volunteers is also drawing close. Her return to Japan is approaching. But nobody talks about the fact that the day is coming, because Coach Aiko's presence provides emotional support to the players.
She always tells me that you have to work really hard, and I'm trying all my best to do that.
She's friendly. I mean, she's a nice person. She always... We learn a lot from her. A lot.
She knows a lot of things that we didn't know as players. Yes. So, yeah, she's the best.
So going back to Japan would have taken maybe my arm to Japan. So I'll be missing my other half.
Although anything they find on their way to the home.
A meeting after training.
That's aggression.
There are still many things that Aiko wants to tell the players. Is it all related to technique? No, there is more.
Thank you for working hard. I'm happy to seeing you guys are really working hard. So we are a team. Don't forget, we have a teammate. You are not alone. So work hard together and enjoy together. So that's all.
Coach Aiko has learned many things from the players. She reflects on the fact that since coming to Botswana, every day has left an impression on her.
Sports has got no barriers to entry in terms of people following it. You know, sports has got no religious boundaries. You know, sports has got no political boundaries. And that is why we think we must use sport as a development tool, you know, to empower women and young people. And she has been a pillar of strength for us. You know, Neo. You know, she's called Neo.